Wait till you see one of these DIYs. It's one of a kind. I am so excited for this project. There's two ways you can make this. Let's start with the Dollar Tree version. You want to start with one of these pieces of wood from Dollar Tree and then either some of their flat barbecue skewers, or you could use popsicle sticks. What I did is I took those pieces of wood out to my garage and I did cut them in half. Now, if you don't have a saw, just grab a miter saw. You can easily cut them in half. And then I took my sander and just rounded the corners on one side of these. So what we're making here are some wooden popsicles. So once I got these all sanded, I took the skewers, I marked them, and then just trimmed them down. Using scissors was my best bet on this to try to get them looking right. And then I glued them to the pieces of wood. Now the other version of this, you can grab yourself some molding. Here I've got these, I've got them trimmed down. Let me tell you how I got these white popsicles to this point. So what I have here is a piece of trim. Now you can go and find any of the trims at the hardware store. The main thing is I wanted some with these grooves. So I'm gonna cut these down and then I'm going to just sand the edges to try to get that curve there, but I think I might also cut one with my jigsaw. So that's what I'm gonna do right now, is just trim these down to size. I have cut all my pieces. I also, as you can tell, trimmed them a little bit to make them skinny. The only thing is I trimmed right here and I've got this nice edge, and then on this side I have this little bump, but I'm a little scared to try to trim that off. So we're just gonna leave it. But I've got these pieces trimmed. Now I've got my orbital sander. I'm gonna use an 80 grit so that I can hopefully rough up these corners and get a curve on these. So I'm gonna try that first and see how it works. And then if it's not working, I may have to bust out my jigsaw. It is time to start painting these popsicles. So first I'm gonna grab 3 of these white ones and I wanna make a patriotic set. So I will use foam brushes and paint one of them red. I will go over one of them with just a fresh coat of white paint and paint one of them blue. Now, if you want these to be kind of Americana and distress, you can get away with putting one coat of this paint on these. And the white is so bright from this molding, it kind of shows through the paint and makes it look like it's just been, I don't know, stoned washed is the best way I can describe the look. It gives it that rustic look, but I wanted full coverage, so I am gonna go in and end up painting 2 coats of paint on each of these wooden popsicles. It's time to paint the rest of the popsicles, so I've got 5 large ones and my 5 Dollar Tree ones. I also have 5 colors of fun paint: pink, yellow, green, kind of a turquoise blue, and purple. And I'm gonna paint these full coverage. And I did want to give a shout out. I shared this on Instagram the other day. Y'all, this little gadget right here, it's a paint shaker. I mean, come on. But it seems so dumb. But y'all, I tell you what, this is so nice because everybody needs to shake their paint. I mean, it's multitasking. I will link everything from today's video down below. So if you are into all the little gadgety things, you're going to love this paint shaker. Anyway, I'm going to paint these with a foam brush and make sure, again, that it's full coverage with 2 coats of paint. The only other painting I'm going to do here is on the blue patriotic popsicle. I wanted to do some white splatter paint to kind of emulate stars. So I just simply dip my paintbrush in the paint, and the way I like to do splatter paint is I just hold the brush with my left hand and then I hit it with my right, and it's perfect. I just use a little piece of craft paper to kind of shield all my other popsicles from the splatter paint, and I love the look this gives this blue popsicle. Now it's time to get our popsicle sticks into our popsicles. So for the small Dollar Tree ones, I am using mini popsicle sticks that you will want to trim off the end, and I'm just gonna be using my rotary tool with one of the sanding stone things on there, and I'm basically what I'm doing is in the middle, the bottom side of each popsicle, I'm just taking that and I'm just making a groove, like I'm kind of just sanding out the wood so that my popsicle stick, I can put some glue on it and just kind of stick it in that groove and it'll hold. So I'm going to do that to all of them. I'm going to use some glue, stick that in there, and all 10 of these popsicles will get popsicle sticks. Now I did want to clarify for the large popsicles, The molding, there's not a lot of wood there to kind of make a groove. So for those, what I did is I used these larger popsicle sticks and I just hot glued them directly to the back, because when you're holding up the popsicle stick, or if you set it in a basket, you can't really tell that the popsicle stick isn't shoved up into the middle of the popsicle on the bottom, if that makes sense. You can't tell at all. So I'm just gonna hot glue on the big ones, the popsicle sticks, to the very back. Here are all our popsicles, and the final step is to take some glossy Mod Podge and put a coat of that all over the popsicles, so we will get that kind of popsicle, you know how they're kind of shiny and have a sheen to them? This glossy Mod Podge will do the trick. Let's finish off these popsicles. So for the patriotic pair, I have this blue and white and red and white striped ribbon. I thought this would be perfect to put on the white popsicle, so I'm going to take 2 pieces of it, simply tie it one time, trim the ends, and then I will secure that onto the popsicle stick with some hot glue. For the red popsicle and the blue popsicle, I'm taking some of this burlap trim from Dollar Tree, trimming 2 pieces and putting them together, and then again double knotting it, and actually just knotting it, not double knotting it, knotting it, and then again securing that with a little bit of hot glue to the popsicle stick, and then this set is ready to go. Now, I had thought about doing some splatter paint on these colorful popsicles, but what I ended up doing was leaving the big set of colorful ones as is. On the small ones, I grabbed the pink one and the purple one, and then grabbed a ribbon that was a lighter shade of that, so a light pink ribbon and a light purple ribbon, tied it in a bow, and then just hot glued that directly to the popsicle stick. And for a fun way to display these popsicles, I had this piece of fabric and this wire basket from Dollar Tree. I had to stretch and really make this work, but what I did is I got it in there, and then around the edge, I just folded the fabric under and hot glued it to kind of make a little edge around the top of the basket, and then that way I've got this lined basket that I can put all of my colorful popsicles in if I'd like. Grab yourself one of these square signs from Dollar Tree and some of the wood pieces. I happen to find these flowers at Dollar Tree, and then you'll also need some other type of wood piece. The first thing I did was take off the twine. The holes that were there, you could use wood filler. I just opted to use some hot glue to fill in those holes, and then I painted the entire sign with some light pink paint. We are turning this into a custom checkerboard. Now, this kind of reminds me, all of you Cracker Barrel fans, when they used to have the peg game on the tables. How fun would it be to make some of these if maybe you're having an event or a party? You could customize them to the person or the event and make a couple of these and set them on tables. But since I did all the measuring for you, all you want to do here is you are going to want to end up with 8 by 8 rows, okay? 8 columns, 8 rows. And I opted to use scrapbook paper for part of the little squares on my checkerboard. So some of them will be this light pink, the other ones will be scrapbook paper. So all you have to do is cut yourself a bunch of squares that measure 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. Now this board, they call it a 12 by 12 board, but it measures in at 11.75 by 11.75. So I just did 1.5. It works pretty well. There's only a little part where it might overlap a little bit in one corner, but it is not noticeable. So once I figured out the measurements and I used my paper trimmer to cut all of those squares, then I'm just going to grab some Mod Podge, and I do want to put Mod Podge over the whole thing to protect the pink paint as well. So what I did, and I found easiest to do, was to do a big, stripe of Mod Podge, put my squares down, put a little bit of extra Mod Podge down when I'm doing that, and then go over the squares with that extra Mod Podge. And I just kept doing that, making my checkered pattern until I filled the entire would square up and made sure that the whole thing was covered with some Mod Podge. For the checker pieces, like I said, grabbed those flowers from Dollar Tree, and then I also had some wooden hearts. I decided to leave the wooden hearts as is. For the flowers, I messed around with a couple different paint pens, and I ended up just using a silver paint pen to paint one side of the flower, and that is it. This is such a great way to customize entertainment for an event you might have, or even just to make a special gift for someone you care about. Now is a good time to tell you about today's sponsor, SimPure. SimPure makes water filters that removes 99.99% of the 1,000 contaminants that are found in your everyday tap water. This is the Y9T model. The water filter came packaged very well, and it was a breeze to set up. It comes with a full set of filter cartridges already installed, and all you have to do to get running is simply follow the directions, making sure to flush those filters, and then you are ready to pour your first cup of fresh, clean water. Once that's done, just make sure you plug it in and you're good to go. Drinking the water is important to everyone, and water pollution can affect the quality of the water we drink. That is why it is important to have a water purifier like this. It is packed with features like it uses exclusive technology to make the most effective RO water purifier systems. It also has the fastest filtration rate among countertop water filters. It's eco-friendly and cost-effective. Let's do a comparison. Here's a glass of water from my tap. There are little particles floating around in the water. It isn't exactly clear, and there's a slight odor of chemicals to the water. Now let's get some water from the purifier. The water comes out perfectly clear, no odor, and tastes pure. I can definitely tell the difference between the two. If you would like more details about this water filter, click the link in the description box down below. Now back to the DIYs. Grab yourself a wood round and cut it into slices. We're going to turn these into watermelon slices. I'm going to start by painting each of these 4 pieces with some red paint, making sure to leave a little area at the, rind area blank. Once I've painted the red paint, then I'm going to go in with a darker green and paint the rind of the watermelon. With a light green paint, I'm going to add some stripes to that dark green. I also am going to go in with a white paint pen and just add a thin line to kind of separate the red and green. Now, if you like more of a distressed look, definitely don't feel like you have to go full coverage with the paint. And then for the seeds, all I did was use a black paint pen. Now these would be great for shelf sitters. They're great little decor pieces you could add to a picnic or a table. Really easy to do. You could do lemon slices, you could do lime, orange slices, kiwi slices. So you can make a whole fruit basket out of wood if you wanted to. For this wood DIY, I picked up one of these mason jars on clearance from Hobby Lobby. It was just a couple dollars. And we're going to turn this into a sign. These type wood things are great to use for signs, for different events you might be having. I'm actually jumping the gun here and making this for my son's graduation party, which isn't until April 2026. But hey, let's just get a head start. These 2 holes where there was a piece of twine to hang this, I'm going to leave those, but I am going to be putting a ribbon through that. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to paint this silver up here, and then go ahead and paint the whole jar part yellow. While I'm painting this, I did want to say that this is part 1 of a big project. So coming in another video, I'm going to have some lemonade recipe printables. I'm going to have some decor pieces that you'll be able to use with this sign that we're making. So just keep your eyes open over the next few weeks, month, for those other parts of this DIY. Once it was painted yellow and the top was painted with galvanized tin, what I did was I did take a paint pen, a little bit of a lighter gray, and go in at the top part where the lid is and kind of just add some little lines. I also ended up painting a white label on this jar and then did some white polka dots, again using a paint pen. Once the whole sign was painted, I was ready to quickly just cut out a quick decal on my CRICUT. If you don't have that, you could simply just make a printable and stick stick it directly onto your jar, no big deal. Then the last thing I did was just add 2 yellow ribbons to the top using those holes that were at the top, and I tied it off. And then I'm just using one of these wooden easels to prop this up. The wooden easel was from Dollar Tree. It's new. I haven't ever seen these before, but I grabbed one. And like I said, just keep your eyes open for part 2, part 3 of this lemonade bar DIY. That will wrap up all of these projects for today. Let me know down below which one of these projects was your favorite. Also, let me know, are you team popsicle? And that includes novelty ice cream like drumsticks, bomb pops, all those fun things. Or are you team ice cream? I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Here are some more videos you might want to check out, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!